Hello, this is Ghostwriter 615, and I want to make something very clear. For me to love my own community does not make me a hater of other communities. Simply one that says that it's time to be selfish about the things that Black people, African people here in America need, and that is community, support, and togetherness. And first of all and foremost, love of thyself and thy ancestors and the respect that is due them. And that respect is not just with words, it's with our deeds. I would like to say something, and this is going to be something I want you to listen very closely to. Much of the wealth that we need is right before our eyes. If we aggregate, we can see. We can see it. If we work together, we can acquire it or create it. We are simply blind to our own wealth potential. Now, this is a white girl talking to supposedly her Black friend. The words a white child talking to a Black friend sums up the essence of hidden wealth potential of the race. The child says, "I wish I could buy you for what you think you are worth and sell you for what I think you are worth. I could make a fortune." Throughout history, nearly everyone except Black people has seen wealth in our race. Black people have responded by enriching every other group but themselves. Now it's time for Black people to create wealth for themselves. And when you hear that, everyone gets upset. Why is that? When you talk about reparations to Black people, all of a sudden, there's an uproar. I am not going to go over the Holocaust, the bombing of Japan, the winning of World War II, the things that they did to the Indians. I'm not going to go over that. I'm going to talk about the Blackacost because it was twice as worse as the Holocaust of the Jews. But nobody seems to take that. You know, I had to ask somebody once before, do you think that Black people can endure pain more than white people? Hell no. The only thing is they were made to endure it more than their oppressor. The impact of social engineering on our communities. Throughout the relationship between Blacks and whites, the majority white society has kept Blacks under various forms of control, physical, legal, and symbolic. The major society, through its primary institutions, has rudimentary sociological and psychological principles to control Blacks and deprive them of their sense of peoplehood. In such a state, Black people could easily be misled into inappropriate behavior, identifying with the oppressor groups and hating their own group. This is not a conspiracy theory. The facts are evident in the marked inequalities between the races and the continuity of inappropriate behavior patterns of Black Americans. There is no other way to explain why historical inequalities remain unchanged and Black Americans continue to cede and surrender their wealth and their resources, powers to the competitors, while their own family, community, and the race as a whole remains powerless and impoverished. Ladies and gentlemen, my Black brothers and sisters, I was told once to do my self-history. I don't know how to give it to you in the short, but what it basically means is taking an inventory, do some introspection of yourself. to find out who the real you is. Not the one that's impersonating your oppressor. Not the one that you dream up and you create in front of the mirror to go out into the world and portray yourself as. No, I am talking about the one that carries around all that luggage of not feeling worthy, feeling inferior, carrying around the garbage of your childhood, how people made you feel, the mistreatment that you've done. You have to come to a understanding, and you have to be all right with a lot of that garbage that you have inside of you. In order for you to be able to act like the human being you were created to act like, with all of the godly talents that you have, then you will have to come to some kind of resolution within yourself about things that make you feel inferior. I was listening to a Muslim who talked to me through a video. He was at the barbershop, and he says that when people have enough inside of them, they don't need much from the outside for them to feel like something, like a human being, like a piece of God. You know, the one that he put inside of you. And you don't need a moderator to talk to yourself, that godly self in you. Rich people stay rich because they pretend to be poor. Black people, for happiness, they spend and they pretend to be rich to try to gain some type of respect. They buy instead of saving, and they don't invest. Now, how do you think that came about? All those things came about first because we didn't have good teachers to teach us about finance. Second, because the system was made for us to not have any kind of wealth, but the wealth that we did have sometimes was stolen or misused. Yes, sometimes they're inappropriate behavior in finances and so forth, but we have to understand that when we had places like Black Wall Street and other communities that were doing extremely well, there was another portion of America that hated that we were doing good. And what did they do? They burned, they hung, they raped, and they tore those communities down. Now it's time for us to rebuild. There was a man that said we need to do for self. That is one way that we can do. We need to come together and spend our own money trying to put together our own communities. But we also have to pay homage and respect to the people that died for us and the people that set the foundation for this whole country to be one of the strongest countries in the world. We need to get our reparations. We need to be a part of society. All the things that our ancestors wanted and couldn't have, we need. This is Ghost Rider 615. And I'd like to give a shout out to Griot 1. He asks me questions sometimes that make me think. And one of those questions a lot of times is, what can we do to generate income without looking like a damn fool, singing, dancing, sports, and so forth? Think about that. This is Ghost Rider 615. Not trying to alienate anybody. I'm just trying to love myself and my people. Thank you.